This week, former White House counselor to Donald Trump, Kellyanne Conway, was on Fox News opposite Juan Williams, and Juan Williams started talking about how ridiculous it is that conservatives are all up in arms about Hunter Biden when they're completely ignoring the fact that clearly Jared Kushner is the person they should be investigating for abusing their office, abusing their connections, and using it to get rich. Kellyanne Conway then actually responded in a rather surprising way, because her response seems to indicate that she is fully aware of how corrupt Jared Kushner is. She, like other conservatives, just happens to not care. So take a look at this exchange. Again, this happened on Fox News just a day or so ago. Here it is.
What's going on with the Trump administration, you would, and I think Jamie Raskin is onto this as well, the congressman from Maryland who's on the committee, saying, why aren't we investigating the Trump accounting firms? Or why don't you look into things like Jared Kushner getting $2 billion directly from the Saudis after former President Trump bragged about protecting the Saudi prince? We just don't know, but I think this is a thin veil for the fact that, after all this investigation and talk about Hunter Biden, the committee's come up with zero, with nothing. And they got the laptop, they got this, that, nothing.
Kellyanne, is that a fair question about Jared Kushner?
It just got there. Well, Jared, of course, is the only person I think who's benefited in the billions with a B from the Trump presidency, that's for sure. But look, I think whataboutism isn't going to work here, Martha and Juan, as hard as you're trying, Juan, for a very simple...
So yeah, Kushner's the only one that we know of, she says, that made billions with a B. But, everybody else really, I guess, just made millions, so don't worry about those people. First of all, that's also not true. Yes, Jared Kushner did get his $2 billion from Saudi Arabia for his new business ventures, which his whole thing was working in the Middle East, and you were really just securing business deals. That much is kind of obvious. But Donald Trump himself also made an estimated $2.4 billion, according to reports, through his time in the White House due to all of his connections, foreign entities, spending money at his properties. So don't act like Jared Kushner's the only one who made billions with a B, Kellyanne, because your big boss, Trump himself, did it too. And then, of course, she's like, but, let's not compare the things. Let's not deflect here, right? We're talking about Hunter Biden and his corruption, alleged corruption. Let's not talk about the guy that was actually in the White House using his connections to put money in his own pocket. Which, again, Kellyanne Conway seems to be willing to admit, like, hell yeah, the dude's corrupt. More corrupt than the rest of us. That's a hell of an admission too, right? Like, you probably shouldn't have said that. But here's the thing, and I'll explain this again, because I've explained it before, but I think it bears repeating. Everything that Hunter Biden is accused of doing, using his daddy's connections to make money overseas, more money than the jobs he was working at should have paid him, sure. That's not a crime, especially when you consider the fact that the contracts that Hunter Biden had that Republicans are now investigating and, of course, have come up with nothing, all of those contracts were received while President Biden was just Joe Biden, former vice president. He wasn't in office during any of this time. None of those contracts with Burisma, none of the alleged China deals, none of that happened when Biden was in office or when he was running for president. The contracts actually span the time in between those two events, meaning even if Joe Biden had called up somebody in Ukraine and said, hey, give my son a job, that's still not illegal because he had no power. He was a former vice president and he wasn't a presidential candidate. So you may agree that it's wrong, maybe it's unethical, but it sure as hell isn't illegal. Jared Kushner, on the other hand, we haven't had a formal investigation into his connections. We haven't taken the time, for some reason, even though Democrats had the House, the Senate, and the White House for 2 years, we didn't look into that. So that's a big mistake by the Democrats when they had the ability to do it. They just didn't. Probably should have, but hindsight is 20/20, and now we can't. And we likely never will. So Jared Kushner pretty much gets away with it And conservatives continue to pretend that even though they know he's corrupt as hell, it's still not a big deal to them. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel? We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.